You're still watching Newsday here on Arise News. Still in the news with Nigeria's economy struggling as a result of capital flight, most of which has been blamed on the continuing relocation of investors to neighboring countries. On the West African coast, the call is being made for government to increase logistical support for local industries to fill the gap being left behind. Local industries, those who are promoting that call, are convinced that Nigerian entrepreneurs, especially those in the manufacturing sector, have only scarcity of funds to contend with, having demonstrated over time the acumen needed to maximize local content. They also make the same arguments for better infrastructure for technological advancement in the country. Well, joining us now to have a conversation on all of that, the Dr. Doyle Edeni, who is the Managing Director of the Blue Steel Energy Group, and President RNF, Thomas Nwangi. It's great to have you on Newsday.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. All right, let's get straight into it. Talking about I'll start with the revolutionizing of the industrial production. The Blue Steel Energy Group has taken a really bold step by launching Nigeria's first chemical manufacturing plant, which in itself is a landmark achievement in the country's journey towards diversification as well as, intensity of production. Now, given that Nigeria has historically relied on chemical imports for various industrial processes, how do you see this facility reshaping the nation's manufacturing landscape over the next decade, perhaps?
Right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Doctor. Okay.
Start with you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us again. In the news leading up to this, you mentioned that many companies are taking flight from Nigeria and going to other climes. And as a result, there's a gap. When that happens, what really follows is that before they close, they lay off the workers, they try to retain as many as possible. Mm-hmm. Some of the reasons why these companies are closing down is lack of access to critical industrial chemical raw material inputs. Most of those raw materials are under the ground. There are mineral deposits that are all over the place. What does happen most of the time, and I've been in this industry for about 28 years, and some of those raw materials are taken abroad, refined, and brought back to us. That happens even with crude oil and so on and so forth. If you recall, the past 18 months or for however long this government has been, like successive government, they've been calling for Nigerians and Africans in diaspora to consider coming back. When you want to do that, you create an enabling environment for them to bring resources to be able to support, because they've acquired skills and knowledge to be able to help the economy grow. For us, I've been in the industry, as I said, for as many years, working for multinational companies, but also founding the company Blue Steel. And my partner here, Thomas Nwangi, is of African descent as well, even though we live and work in the US, and we work from the parent company RNF, which is which owns part of Blue Steel. We've been working together with the desire for us to fundamentally change what is going on in Africa, at least in the area of our own industry. If you look at what happens across the landscape, there are people that are trying to produce here. You see people mixing chemicals. If you go to the Port Harcourt, Warri Belt, you see them, they mix chemicals and try to do something because of lack of resources. They are not able to compete with the foreign imports. And so as a result, you find out that they never grow. And then most of us over the years have been representing foreign entities to sell their products here. Nigeria currently graduates about 600,000 young graduates out of colleges. Universities, polytechnic, and the like. As a result, you find out that these people graduate, they don't have a place to fit in, and then we have other things that happens. So what we are trying to do in our own little space is to be able to disrupt this chemical process industry in such a way that we'll create ability for them to be able to standardize these processes by bringing some people even into our facility. Apart from manufacturing our chemicals here, we've set up two labs. The analytical lab and the research lab, whereby the analytical will cater to our everyday business needs, but the research lab is for us to look at sources of new materials that are local that we could use as a substitute instead of bringing even some of our reagents that will come into this country. The siting of our factory also is very significant. Lagos has a reputation of being known as a center of excellence. Yeah. And if we are going to demonstrate excellence, why don't we start from here? And so the siting of this gigantic refinery is an assurance that we are going to get some critical raw materials to be able to run our factory 24/7. And as a result, we are capable now. We have an installed capacity of manufacturing. What's the exact location of it? At Ibejuleki, near Dangote Refinery. Oh, right. Incidentally, Dangote Refinery is a client of ours. The first chemical that was ever used to run that plant the contract was given to Blue Seal. But for all those products that they gave to us that we're bringing out of our Luling plant, it was a nightmare in terms of the supply chain challenges. Sometimes you ship products from our factory, they are manufactured within 2-3 weeks. And then we ship them down, transfer them to Galveston in the Houston area and try to ship them to Nigeria because they have to be dodging all these wars that you were just reading about in the news, the impact of COVID and everything. The turnaround cycle could be 3 to 4 months. Sometimes you get to a customer, they are mad. So what we're trying to do is to disrupt the industry in such a way that we keep manufacturing here. We train the people that are local to be able to understand, and also we align with local partners as well to be able to significantly churn out product as fast as possible. In the oil industry, which is the main products, the main chemicals we have right now that we started with, you find out that there are so many contracts that are already given for 2-3 years. We know that we cannot ask the oil companies to sever those contracts today. But instead of taking the money outside to come and buy from us or from others, what we're even saying is that we can do toll blending for them, private labeling, but making sure that they maintain the same standard that our products are known for, so that they can be able to quickly turn around their resources. Exactly. Because if you take money from a bank at 32% or 30%, for example, and you wait for 6 months before you turn around that money, you're going to pay interest. You're going to pay shipping costs and logistic costs. But we are now acting like a bank, more or less, because we have raw materials. We have the plant here. Within a month, you get your products. And then you keep the money here. You can make the Naira strong. Most importantly, you create some jobs locally. We're responding to the government's call for us to come back home and invest. And when we finish Nigeria, maybe we'll go to Kenya.
Now listen, Doyle, it sounds like very stressful but meaningful work. It seems like you've done quite a bit to get to where you all are. But beyond oil and gas, or actually maybe I should ask you, Thomas, beyond oil and gas and general manufacturing, does your company have any plans to expand your product line to include other essential solutions in the future?
Yes, I think we started with oil and gas because that's what we're familiar with. That's what the industry is. But Nigeria is a big market, and Nigeria is a market where so much of what comes here is imported, especially on the chemical side of things. So the opportunity is there. I think somebody just has to make the initiative to build something. So it is our plan to get into the industrial chemical plants. I know it's our plan to build 10 the goal is to have 10 chemical plants in Africa. We're going to have 3 here in Nigeria. Not all of them will be oil field chemicals. It will be industrial chemicals. We're going to try and spread them around as much as we can, obviously, for the ease of our customers to be able to get the product. So yes, this is just the first step to making Nigeria a self-reliant when it comes to chemical production. And I think it is very important that we made this step, and obviously there was a lot of capital investment involved. I know a lot of people, especially in the United States or wherever else, would always ask us, why Nigeria? Why are you going to Nigeria? And the answer I would always give is, why not Nigeria, right? Why not Nigeria? This is a place where you have a lot of young people, a lot of talent, a lot of need, a lot of demand. The government is very supportive of what we're trying to do and what we're trying to accomplish. So we're very excited, and this is a great moment I think, for not just for us as business people, but also for this country, and hopefully we can be able to do that.
I like the fact that you touched on, government collaboration, because the success of large-scale industrial projects lots of times often hinges on government support, whether through policy incentives or infrastructure investment, or even just the favorable regulatory frameworks that exist in that ecosystem. So can you talk to me about the support? I mean, you mentioned significant support or roadblocks that you've gotten from government agencies or regulatory bodies in setting up and operationalizing this facility. Are there any specific policies that you would like to see implemented further to enable local manufacturing in Nigeria, as it were?
Well, as somebody coming in from abroad, I would say that initially just just the number of, I think as we built the factory, just how many permits and requirements that we had to meet and how many different agencies. I know Dr. Doyle and I would talk about it and say there's somebody else and somebody else and somebody else. We can find a way to standardize that and make it a little bit easier that where people can understand, because some of these things, anytime you have another roadblock and another roadblock, it's just another reason for somebody to say no, to a reason why, and make it a little bit more difficult. So the ease of doing business in Nigeria has to be made. The government really needs to look at that, and especially from a foreign investor looking at it, because there's a lot of people competing for these investors, not just here in Africa but all over the world. And so the easier it is for investors to come here, invest here, the easier it is for them to make the decision to do that. Now, on one hand, yes, we had that, but on the other hand, I think we've had a lot of support also from some of the agencies, the NCDMB and all these other agencies that I can name, who've been very instrumental in helping us and telling us what we have to do, what we need to do, and where we're falling short and what we can. So I think that one I have to give a lot of credit for them for doing that. So. But this is also a learning process for them as well, because this is something we've communicated to them, that these are some of the things that maybe you can do a little bit better, and maybe you'll have more companies coming in, and hopefully they take that to heart and implement it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yes.
Let me come back to you, Doyle. Many local businesses in Nigeria, well, everywhere, they rely on these products, imported chemicals. Can you quantify the expected cost savings for them? Justify it for them in a little bit. What broader economic impact do you anticipate in terms of job creation, strengthening the local supply chain, et cetera?
All right. For the savings that we can give to these companies, we can use ourselves as a case study. So looking at our offering right now to customers across the country, we are able to reduce our offer price by as much as 20%. So if we are able to make a savings of almost 35%, we are able to say, okay, take 20%, 15%, depending on the customer. When I say 20%, it means if we sell a product for, say $1 per kg right now, we can possibly reduce it to maybe about 80 cents per kg. That's the kind of savings that we're looking at now. And each manufacturer is looking at their bottom line all the time. That makes the difference between being able to compete and maybe probably be able to export. So there are some local manufacturers that we have in the Lagos area here, because before we have gone into this manufacturing, we were representing several companies as well, some of them international brands. And the problem we've always had with products coming from the US against their Asian counterparts is that they are seen to be quality products, but that they are not affordable. So that's where is the affordability factor now that we are addressing with this intervention, that you are going to have products that are made to the same international best standards, but locally manufactured, and all the savings we get from sourcing some of the raw materials locally. And I should emphasize that because this plant that we have built now, it has about 62% local input. If you were there on Friday when we opened the plant, you will see that side by side, we have integrated as much local input so that in terms of plant maintenance and looking for spares, we will not be relying on bringing everything from the US to be able to service the plant. That makes sure that the plant is available all the time. The major components are the ones we brought in from the US. And as the time goes on, we are telling our Nigerian contractors as well, because the chiller system, for example, was built here in Nigeria. You would not believe that. Ordinarily, they bring everything in. Yeah. But we took the risk because we saw what that contractor did for Shell in the Port Harcourt area. He's been working for 10 years. Yeah. And I'm wondering, why are people not patronizing? Why are they allowing them to bring all these things? If you look at the climate we're coming from right now, you will see that there's protectionism. And nobody wants to say anything like that. But why is Donald Trump and the US president saying that we should protect the economy? Because the US businesses are losing against other businesses. Every country protects their own. That's a fact. So here also, people must take measures like that. As we see opportunity for Nigerian content, we are going to integrate that. And that's why we are in bed with the Nigerian Content Development Board. as at December, that was the conference, when they did the practical Nigerian content, they invited us. We came to Nigeria as well. And we were the signature company. They were showcasing as to how it's done. Now, we have the opportunity to have funded this project, $12.5 million, with a foreign direct investment. We tried to work with Nigerian banks. We did not get any opportunity because they were giving us different offers that were, when we ran the figures, we would not be profitable. We will not be able to compete. But we have the good fortune to be able to put a coalition of investors together that see the opportunity in this market, and they put the resources on the ground, and we have built. So what we have done is that not only building for ourselves, the only way we will significantly disrupt the market, the industry, is to also tag along some others that we are trying to identify now, to work together as a group. Because we want to create the competency and be able to do that. Then.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your submissions. We've been speaking with Doyle Edeni, who is the managing director of the Blue Steel Energy Group, as well as president of R&F, Thomas Nwangi. We appreciate your time and we really do wish you the best with this project.